These are the 13 luxury class devil fruits. So when it comes to magical fruit, far too many people jump straight into the idea of fight battling. And to you, I say, mate, what is your problem? Just chill and enjoy not getting punched in the face for a bit. And these are the 13 5-star fruits that will give you that luxurious experience. Starting with the Gorgoronomi, Gil Tesoro's luxurious gold devil fruit, which for some reason in English is called the Gol fruit. Gol is in the last name of Goldie Roger. And this power often confuses people who believe it's a Logia type or a generation style paramecia. However, the truth is that Gil Tesoro can neither become gold nor generate gold. This fruit is actually quite restrictive in that it allows Tesoro to manipulate gold, but only provided that he has touched the gold, which is based on the Midas touch mythology. That's actually a pretty big restriction. It means that to manipulate a substantive amount, then you need to molest a lot of gold. That's part of what makes this such a luxurious devil fruit, because one of the requirements to make decent use of it is easy access to colossal quantities of gold, which I think most of us don't have. However, Casino King Gil Tesoro skillfully built himself to the point where he apparently possessed 20% of all wealth circulated across the One Piece planet, potentially making him the single most wealthy individual in non-canon One Piece. And I actually like that the fruit doesn't generate gold, because what makes gold luxurious is its scarcity. If it generated gold, then it would just be like Galdino's wax, and like, who cares? It just makes him look like he's covered in jizz anyway. And Tesoro would be the same, but for golden showers. But every piece of gold that Tesoro touches lessens the global supply available for everyone else. So when Tesoro does stuff like pave his hallways in gold, that is a very luxurious use. But this power can also be surprisingly horrifying. For example, Tesoro can control gold down to the point where he can infuse gold flakes directly into people's skin and transform them into very morbid golden living statues. Well, living for a bit, not for long, which is a crazy overpowered technique, but it does come with the restriction of Tesoro not being able to use it on main characters. Against them, the best Tesoro can do is turn into a giant golden golem with some lovely purple LED work between the muscles and do the classic thing of throwing a big old punch. That's just the nature of non-canon devil fruits though. You can make them as powerful and as intricate as you want, but in the end, they're gonna need to punch fight Luffy. I should also say that this fruit in its actual form strongly resembles the shape of the Ito Ito no Mi used by Doflamingo, which, fun fact, according to volume 777, Gil Tesoro acquired this devil fruit from Doflamingo, and when I say acquired, I mean Tesoro massacred a bunch of Don Quixote pirates and stole the fruit. But this is not the most powerful, nor is it even the most luxurious devil fruit used in One Piece film gold. That would be Bakura's luck abilities through the Raki Raki no Mi. So this one is pretty wild because it allows Bakura to siphon luck from people. If she touches you, then she absorbs whatever luck you have, making her extremely lucky and you very extremely unlucky. If anyone's played Danganronpa, then I would equate this devil fruit to being the ultimate lucky student. But in terms of luxury, what more could you ask for? You walk into a casino, touch a bunch of people, and win big every time. But things don't end there, because the Raki Raki no Mi also has the potential to make its user invincible in combat. Because Bakura herself isn't particularly strong, but she doesn't need to be. All she needs to do is touch an opponent, and the combination of her enhanced luck and the opponent's debuffed luck will coerce fate into making sure that no attack can ever damage Bakura through sheer luck alone. She doesn't need to do anything consciously about it either. In Film Gold, what she does is she throws a coin at her opponents and just lets luck take the wheel, which results in increasingly unfortunate yet hilarious situations. It doesn't matter who you are, everyone from Whoop Slap to Kaido will be powerless to damage her until the luck effect wears off, which is important to note. This effect is temporary. But then again, being touched once goes into a spiral of events because you're then unlucky enough that you're likely to be touched again and again and again. The way she was beaten in One Piece Film Gold was by Usopp firing a slot machine at her, and Bakura's coin luckily entered the machine and won a jackpot. And so doing this depleted her of her luck, and Usopp took that small opportunity to shoot her down. But if you don't have a slot machine ready to go, then you have no chance against this fruit. Moving to some very tonguesome luxury, now we have the Pero Pero no Mi, the Lick Lick fruit. And this is the sort of fruit that Gil Tesoro's gold ability gets mistaken for, because it allows Charlotte Perospero the power to generate and manipulate seemingly infinite quantities of delicious candies. So this is both the dream of every child and every adult that your parents warned you about when you were a child. There's even a part during Whole Cake Island where Perospero does offer candy to children, stating, and I quote, "After 3 minutes, you may lick the candy coaster," which surprisingly, not a euphemism, because the candy aspect of this fruit only forms part of its luxurious suite of abilities. Perospero can wield his powers to create wildly ornate structures, such as this candy escalator, which ferried his mother's special guest to her tea party, which also sounds a bit euphemistic, it must be a family thing. But he was able to create a fully functional candy escalator, not candy stairs. We're not talking stairs, we're talking escalator, which is particularly impressive because escalators don't yet exist in the One Piece world. Perospero just dreamed this up. But nothing is off limits for this long-tongued candy man, as he even created a full replica of Caesar Clown's Punk Hazard lab, and after losing an arm, that wasn't a problem either, because Perospero was able to make himself a fully functional prosthetic Gandhi arm. What can't this fruit do? It can create any object, no matter how complex, and it can create that object out of a highly sought after and very tasty substance, and it lures children. Everything that a deranged Willy Wonka could want, all in one luxurious little package. Now, something else that's a bit of a luxury in this economy is home ownership. So this next fruit is dubbed the Millennial Dream, because it is the Shirashiro no Mi, or castle fruit, which turns its user into a living fortress, and thus granting them their own personal castle mansion. This fruit is a little bit convoluted, because what it does is it turns your body into a manipulatable castle, so you can have all sorts of doors and windows and wherever you like, I guess. And for anyone who gets a bit too close to you, they shrink, and are thus able to inhabit the castle, which Capone Gang Beige uses to house his extensive crew of fire tank pirates as well as his family. But this is where it gets real trippy. The user of the fruit can also create a miniature functional version of themselves within the castle walls, meaning that the user can live inside of themselves, but also retain full consciousness of the outside world. So it's like inhabiting two different bodies at the same time, which is an experience that I can't even begin to comprehend. And then there's the ultimate ability Big Father, where the user can expand their body and become a colossal moving castle, basically taking the mask off and showing the world what they truly are. And it's also a technical exception to the rule of a devil fruit user only being able to consume one devil fruit, or one devil fruit user, because the owner of this fruit can have as many other fruit users or even fruits as they want stored in their stomach, and they will be just fine. I guess the only real issue with this fruit is that it gives you a ready-made castle. You can't really change a whole lot. And if what we're looking for is true luxury, then what we want is a more bespoke creation. Also, this video is sponsored by BetterHelp, a platform designed to connect you with a licensed therapist, trained to listen and provide you with helpful, unbiased advice. Because, mate, starting therapy, very difficult thing to do. Just thinking of the administration alone is such a big roadblock. You've got to find a therapist in a convenient area who somehow isn't booked up months in advance. It is exhausting. But BetterHelp can match you to one of over 30,000 therapists in their network, with sessions available as phone calls, live chats, messaging, whatever works for you, whenever works for you. Very handy for people like me, because people like me don't like face-to-face interactions. But also very handy for the 4 million plus people who have already used BetterHelp to start healthy, happier lives. And you can do the same through my link in the description. To get started, you just need to fill out a questionnaire describing your specific needs, and in most cases, you'll be matched with a therapist within 48 hours. And if the therapist you're matched with isn't quite the right fit, that's fine. It's quite common when starting therapy. But in that case, you can easily switch to a different therapist at no extra cost. And also no stressing about the rest of all of the admin stuff like your insurance and your networks and that. So if you think that you might benefit from therapy, then consider BetterHelp. And if you visit through my link in the description, then you'll get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. So if you think it's right for you, give BetterHelp a go. But for now, it's back to you, me. And if what we're looking for is true luxury, then what we want is a more bespoke creation. And for that, we would either look to Pika's Ishi no Mi or Morley's Oshi no Mi. Two fruits that sound very similar and also perform very similarly. In English, Pika's ability is the Stone fruit, which gives him the power to assimilate with stone, essentially inserting his essence into the stone and using it how he sees fit. And this results in the illusion of a Logia style effect, because Pika can then conjure these huge stone bodies that are seemingly immune to physical damage, but his true body will always be in there somewhere. But the really cool thing is that after assimilating with a ton of stone, Pika can boot up his internal Minecraft and use that stone to create whatever structures he sees fit. As long as the stone is available, Pika could easily build his own castle. Although I don't think I'd trust him after seeing the mess he made on Dressrosa. And I guess the painful limitation of this ability is that he can only affect stone, whereas Morley's Devil Fruit grants full command over any ground below. It's known as the Push Fruit, and it allows Morley to sculpt surroundings as required. It does specify ground in the description, but ground can be, it's very vague, and ground can then also go on to become whatever Morley likes. Perhaps a wall, perhaps a roof, then some more walls, and bam, you got a house. The most infamous use of this fruit was the creation of level 5.5 of Impel Down, a complex network of rooms designed to create an underground civilization for prisoners to retreat to and live in peace. This ability also allowed Morley to become the first known person to escape from Impel Down, which either no one noticed or everyone covered up to make sure that the prison retained its pristine zero escape record. It's also a devil fruit that gives Morley a bit of a default awakening, because one of the common features of awakenings that we've seen in characters like Doflamingo, Katakuri, and even Luffy is the power to manipulate the ground. And that power is the whole feature of Morley's devil fruit, so it should absolutely not be underestimated. And yet, it is still not the ultimate luxury living fruit, because what would you say if I offered you your own private island? Well, you can have just that, with Avalo Pizarro Shima no Mi, the Isle fruit, which is a step up from Pika's ability, allowing Pizarro to assimilate with a whole island. Remembering that Pika was only capable of doing this with stone, and Morley was only capable of manipulating the very ground. With Pizarro Pizarro, there is no substance or semantics that are off limits. So as long as it's considered part of the island according to whatever vague criteria that may be, it is all under Pizarro's control. And I suppose one big question would be what exactly defines an island as opposed to, say, a continent. It's not usually important in One Piece because there is only one continent, which is the Red Line, but it's entirely possible that Pizarro could merge with the Red Line and take complete command of it, which would make him physically the largest being on the planet. There is a very notable downside to this fruit though, which is that since he's fused with the island, if that island gets damaged, Pizarro incurs that damage as well, although the damage is scaled down to his body size. Although the creepiest part is that after assimilating with an island, Pizarro can sense whatever is happening wherever it's happening, thus making him the ultimate voyeur, so that's pretty cool. But would you believe that it can get even more luxurious than having your own private island? Well, with Blue Nose Doa Doa no Mi, you could become the proud owner of an entire dimension. The core ability of this fruit allows Blue No to create doors wherever he wants, even out of thin air. But here's the thing about doors, they need to lead to something. And that something is his own private pocket dimension, which is exactly like the real world in every way, just with a green tint over everything. And even though you can see other people, you can comfortably phase through them because they aren't part of this world. No. This is all for you. It comes with one particularly intriguing restriction, being that the user can only create doors in proportion to their relative size. So if a giant had this fruit, then mate the doors we could create. But then again, if Blue No were to be chibi-fied in perhaps a One Piece movie, then he'd only be able to create these adorable teeny tiny doors that everyone else has great difficulty fitting through. And that is exactly what happened in One Piece Film Red, a film which also featured the second pocket dimension fruit, Charlotte Brulée's Mira Mira no Mi. So this is very similar to Blue No's fruit, but instead of creating doors, it gives Brulee the power to create mirrors that then act as doors. Portals, if you will. Portals to a wonderfully trippy mirror dimension, and unlike the door fruit, which overlaps with reality, the mirror world exists completely separate from base reality, but contains a near infinite amount of mirrors that can be used to access any point of reality where a mirror exists. Your bathroom, for example. Brulee could just pop out there while you're doing your thing. But this one, it gets a bit trickier because it also has reflective powers. Charlotte Brulee can transform people, animals, or objects into other people, animals, or objects via the logic of reflecting that object back at the target object. So let's say that you, me, and Brulee are in a room just chilling, but then Brulee decides to create a mirror that reflects me onto you. So you now look like me, and I'm so sorry about that. And the first thing I would recommend is cleaning your shame away with the Awa Awa no Mi Caliph's bubble fruit, from which you can conjure and manipulate specifically soap bubbles. And linger on the soap because that is surprisingly important in One Piece, because there's quite a wide variety of bubble tech available, like the bubbles generated by Sabri Archipelago, the bubbles used to coat ships to dive to Fishman Island, and Vegapunk's assorted bubble tech that creates nigh on impenetrable bubble defenses. And Califa can do none of that. She's restricted to much more basic soap. Although one luxurious advantage of this ability is that she can clean any room or even outdoor area almost instantly. And let me tell you, as a man in his 30s, I see much more beauty in this devil fruit now than when I first saw it as a teenager. But Califa can also clean people a bit too well, leaving their skin shiny, slippery, and smooth, but also draining their power and stamina. And also she can use the bubbles to dress up like a sheep, so that's fun. Alright, we've got external cleaning covered, but what if the filthy object in question is you, your insides, your soul? Well, we've got that covered as well with Vice Admiral Suru's Washu Washu no Mi, which gives her the dangerous option of literally turning her opponents into clothing and then hanging them out to dry. But the true beauty of this fruit is that it's capable of cleansing hearts. So in the case of filthy pirates, Suru gives them a bit of a wash, and they lose a piece of that lingering evil within their hearts. They don't lose it all immediately, lots of washes are required, but after a few, you could go on to become a productive member of society. And it's unknown whether or not Suru could use these powers on herself, but one could achieve a similar, albeit temporary effect with Emporio Ivankov's hormone manipulation fruit, the Horu no Mi, which is best known for the on-the-spot gender swap power, but that is very much bearing the lead. This fruit gives you the power to not only manipulate yourself physically any way you see fit, because you can create fictional hormones to suit your needs, but you can also to some extent directly control how you're feeling at any given time. And usually I wouldn't advocate using drugs to alter your natural mood unless prescribed, but this fruit creates safe magical drugs to inject through your newfound syringe fingers, so go for it. But of course, the most luxurious of all of the devil fruits may or may not be the Kukukuku no Mi, which gives you the capacity of never needing to cook again, because you can now turn anything you want into any food you want. The only issue being that while the food does provide legit bodily nourishment, it does taste awful, and pretty much exactly like the thing that Stroyson used to make it. So for example, if he makes a cake out of a log, then you are eating log-tasting cake. And those are the 13 devil fruits that are mostly luxurious, but some of which are a little bit questionable.